The Oregon Trail was much more than a pathway to the state of Oregon. It was only practical corridor to the entire western United States. That's because the trail was only feasible way for settlers to get across the mountains.
The journey west on the Oregon Trail was exceptionally difficult by today's standards. 1 in 10 died along the way. Many walked the entire 2,000 miles barefoot, without shoes or slippers.
The first immigrants to go to Oregon in a covered wagon were Marcus and Narcissa Waitman, who made the trip in 1836.
That 1843 wagon train, dubbed the Great Migration, kicked off a massive move west on the Oregon Trail. Over the next 25 years, more than 500,000 people went west on the trail. Some went all the way to Oregon's Willamette Valley in search of farmland. Many more split off for California in search of gold.
Actual wagon routes from the Oregon Trail still exist today in many parts of the American West.
The Missouri River heads due west from St. Louis, so most immigrants loaded their wagons onto steamships for the upstream journey. Then, the Independence, Missouri was the first option. Farther upstream was Westport, St. Joseph, Omaha, and Council Bluffs.
By mid-April, the prairie outside Independence was packed with immigrant campers. Heading west to Early meant the grass wouldn't be long enough for the animals to graze along the way, a mistake that could be fatal.
Conestoga wagons were never used by the pioneers. They were just too unwieldy. Instead, the immigrants used small farm wagons.
While the wheels were more effective in soft, sandy soil. The cotton covers were typically drawn shut at both ends to keep out the incessant dust. This one is soil. This one is like wagon cover.
The wagon bags measured only 4 feet by 10 feet. Most wagons had several handy points, a toolbox on the side, a water barrel, and most importantly, hardwood brakes.
By late April and early May, the grass was long enough and the journey began.
Congestion. When it was finally time to go, everyone wanted to get started at the same time, and the result was often a huge traffic jam. They tipped their wagons, bumped into the trees, and couldn't even get their animals to go in the right direction.
Only a few miles outside of Independence, nearly all the immigrants realized they had grossly overloaded their wagons.
Oxen were animals that would pull the immigrants' covered wagons. They were strong and could live off grass or sage and were less expensive.
River crossings were a constant source of distress for the pioneers. Hundreds drowned trying to cross the Kansas, North Platte River, and Columbia Rivers, among others. In 1850 alone, 37 people drowned trying to cross one particularly difficult river, the Green River.
People. The charge rings up to $16, almost the price of the oxen. One ferry earns $65,000 in just one summer.
Because most immigrants grossly overloaded their wagons, few could ride inside. Instead, most walked. Many made the entire 2,000-mile journey on foot.
Immigrant wagons didn't have any safety features. If someone fell under the massive wagons, that was instant.
Great thunderstorm took their toll. A half dozen immigrants were killed by lightning strikes.
Perhaps the biggest problem on the trail was a mysterious and deadly disease called cholera.
In camping, yoke the oxen, cook breakfast, and hit the trail.
The immigrants did circle their wagons, but wasn't for protection against the Native American tribes. Instead, the circle provided a convenient corral for loose livestock.
Cooking bread over a campfire was something of a challenge. The result was usually burned on the outside and doughy on the inside.
The biggest problem was finding fuel for the campfire. Soon, trees were scarce, and there was only one alternative: buffalo dung. Boo.
Follow. Do it. Say it. If they were lucky, the immigrants would have quail or buffalo with their bread.
By 9 p.m., they would bed down for the night. Some families had tents, but most just slept right on the ground.
At 5 a.m., the whole process started again. 50 miles a day for nearly 6 months.